Max, the 2017 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, is heading to shelves now. It is on its way. It's on trucks. It's heading away. Or
don't make promises.
If you are a Texas football insider, it is being packaged up and mailed to you, like as we speak. So that's the update. It's a magazine's 400-page magazine, essentially full of predictions.
Sure.
We are in the business of predicting things. Some things we get right. Most things we don't. But we try. We try very hard, and we try to be thoughtful about it. There remain, though, as a result, we rank, there are 1,400 teams in Texas high school football, more than 1,400. And we try to rank all of them in their own district or region or class. And some of them are easy. Let me give you a real spoiler alert, okay? Who's going to be really good this year? Name a team that's going to be really good. Allen. Allen's going to be really good this year.
Yep.
Manville's going to be really good this year.
Really good.
Carthage, probably going to be really good this year, right? Those are things. There are also teams, I won't mention, we're pretty confident, not going to be that great this year. Okay, there's that. But then there's teams that we really have no feel for. And we try very hard to talk to people and say, what do you think? And talk to people in the know, in the scene, and say, hey, what do you think about this team? And there's still no consensus. So here are 5 teams. I've narrowed down to 5 teams that I think I would characterize as mystery teams, unpredictable teams.
Sure.
Really, for me, these represent teams that it wouldn't surprise me if they won 14 games, and it also wouldn't surprise me if they won like 3, because I think that they are very high-variance teams.
Mm-hmm. Let's
start in 6A. Let's start with Odessa Permian.
Okay.
Mojo Magic had a pretty meh year last year. 6-4, missed the playoffs. I know Coach Blake felt that's not good enough for him. They bring back, if you want experience, they've got it in spades. 8 starters offensively, 9 starters defensively. They bring back a guy who's a playmaker, who's a game changer in Brother Miller. Kind of the
great name, too. It is one of the better names. Yeah.
I really hope he has a sister, and I'm not even going to finish it. You know where I'm going. So, there's that. Experience, fantastic. That's what you want, right? You want that experience. I wonder, though, one thing that I wonder. One, I think that their district is pretty tough. San Angelo Central's in the mix. The Midland teams are in the mix. Odessa's in the mix. A few others that are going to be Tesco, we think Friendship. We think they're going to be good. The other thing is that I think arguably they lost their most important player in Kobe Robinson, who graduated. And so this is a team that for me remains a mystery. Yeah. I don't know what Odessa Permian's going to look like. I don't know how they're going to operate. And more importantly, they're the kind of team that, for example, they started the year 4-0 last year. Yeah. And we started having the is Mojo back conversation, right? Then they go 2-4 in district and miss the playoffs. Yeah. So I feel like this is the kind of team that I'm not going to be able to firmly answer what this team is until like week 8. There's a lot of teams that I can watch that we can have two games and I can say they're a good team, they're a state championship contender. Right. This is not one of those teams. I feel like this is a team that's got to cook a bit. So I'm interested to see what Blake Felt brings for Odessa Permian. 5A, let's go to Ennis. Another great coach in Jack Alvarez, and another team that I think underachieved last year. 7-4, bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And from an experience standpoint, you love what they have back defensively with 7 starters back. Offensive standpoint, not a ton of starters back, including losing some key parts of that offensive line. But they do bring back Tyson Thompson, kind of on a in contrast to what we were talking about with Permian, where they bring back a ton of offensive starters, but maybe lost the guy who the straw that stirs the drink. Ennis doesn't bring back a ton of offensive starters, but does bring back the guy in Tyson Thompson that you feel like can take over a game. To me, though, what ultimately decides Jack Alvarez teams are defense. And this defense to me, remains a bit of a mystery. 7 starters back, and I love that, but at the same time, they're going to be tested in their own district. They're going to be playing teams that are going to challenge their defense week in and week out. So for me, What I want to see from Ennis is how do they handle defenses like offenses like White House? How do they handle offenses like Corsicana? Let me pull up their schedule real quick. Do they have any games in non-district that would give us kind of a window into what they're going to look like early?
Have at least one.
Yeah. Okay. Week 2, they're at John Tyler.
There you go.
Okay. Week 1, South Oak Cliff. Week 2, at John Tyler. We'll find out early what this Ennis defense is about. And if this Ennis defense is flying around and making plays and making these two what look like good offenses in South Oak Cliff and John Tyler look pedestrian, look average, it may be time to buy in on Ennis. I don't know, though. And 7-4 last year has me a little bit spooked. Let's go to 4A. Let's go way out east. Yeah. Way east. Pleasant Grove. I mean, first of all, 6-7 remains one of the most ridiculous records that you can have, right? Because that means you lose 6 games in district or in the regular season, and then you go 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. Right. They bring back good starters back. This guy Xavier Benson, their coach Josh Gibson rants and raves about him, about how good he is as a linebacker wide receiver combo. But for me, they're a perfect example of a team that is easy to forget because of their district.
Sure.
Because Gilmer's in that district.
Right.
Okay, and this is make no mistake, Gilmer is the team to beat in that district. But then you have this big middle, to me. Pleasant Grove, Gladewater, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, that they're all kind of indiscernible to me. Mm-hmm. One of them, here's a promise, one of them is going to have a big year. Yeah, it's going to happen. One of them's going to have a big year. Is it Pleasant Grove? I think they've got the playmakers to do it, or rather defensively. I want to see if they can get 1 or 2 offensive weapons to kind of 1 or 2 offensive weapons to step up and kind of lead this offense. For me, Pleasant Grove remains a mystery in that district out east. Let's go to your boys. You are an unabashed Farmersville homer.
I mean, I like them. We had a good time with them last summer, and Coach Burnett knows how to coach them up.
They're another example. Let's go like we were talking about with Permian, okay?
Yeah.
They tick a lot of boxes, okay?
They do.
They tick a lot of boxes. Great year. Unlike Permian, great year last year. 11-2.
Yeah.
Arguably the best year in program history.
Right. But they've lost the biggest playmakers.
They lost. It's not the numbers because they bring back 7 and 6. Okay.
Right.
Most coaches will say, yeah, if you give me 7 and 6, we're fine.
Yeah.
But they lose Caleb Twyford.
Yeah.
And they lose Chase Hacker.
Yeah.
They lose, really, to me, their 2 most important players.
Right.
And so the question becomes, the other thing that I want to know about Farmersville, first of all, they got to replace those guys. There's that. The other thing about Farmersville, how do you handle success?
Right.
We talk about it all the time.
It's not a program that's unfamiliar with success. Let's make that clear.
Correct. Yes.
But recently, they haven't been this good.
They haven't been this good. They do have a state title, obviously. Yeah. But
within the last 10 years.
Well, not within the last 10 years. But this generation of farmers, this is the richest they've been. How do they handle hitting the lottery and suddenly and then going from a team that, we're the other team in Mineola's district.
Right.
Now, you could make a real argument
that this is a window for them.
That Mineola's losing a ton. This should be the year that Farmersville grabs that district title.
It's tough because I felt like a lot of their offensive success last year was predicated on the idea that Hacker was great at getting the ball to the right people. But they had both Twyford brothers, and he was kind of like this 1-2 punch. If you could stop one, the other one would get you. Well, Cade's back, and Cade's great. But they're going to need more offensive weapons to emerge if they're going to improve on last year.
And then let's finish up with a team that we can mention in this segment every single year, which is St. Augustine.
I feel like we've been talking about them a lot in the office lately.
So St. Augustine, every year. So we get rankings from our buddy Jerry Forrest, and his rankings are computer rankings. Right. So they take the results of the games and they run them through a filter and they come out with rankings. Yeah. And every year, St. Augustine starts the year like 1-3,
right?
And they plummet out of the rankings, and everybody forgets about them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they show up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
and they've given up like 14 points in the last like 9 games, and they are a juggernaut.
Yep.
They remain that total mystery to me,
yep.
in my view. And look, this is the MO for Marty Murr, and really since time immemorial at St. Augustine, is you schedule tough non-district games. This year, they're at Kirbyville, they're at Groveton, Garrison. I don't know if it's a murderer's row this year, but they're in the Alto district, they're in the Joaquin district. This is a good district that they have to make their way through. So my question for St. Augustine really is, when will we know what they are? There's guys I love. Gavin Murr, the coach's kid, the quarterback, was fantastic last year, a 3,000-yard passer. Quintavian Borders is a playmaker on both sides. They've got playmakers that I like. But for me, the question forever about St. Augustine is, when is that cake done? You know what I mean? Like, you put it in and you set the timer and you go, for most teams, you put it in and you go, okay, 3 games, right? I want to give them 3 games. Then I can take it out and maybe I stick a toothpick in it and I go, okay, I think this thing's done, right? St. Augustine, it may not be until like week 10 that we figure out what they are, because that's just how they operate. Coach Marty Murr likes to build them up over the course of a season. How does that work this year? Those are teams that I have a hard time predicting in 2017.